and thrilled to welcome you all on our second live expert session here tonight. So a very warm welcome to you all from Project Possible team. So first of all, can you guys see me and hear me well? If yes, just type yes in the chat box. Okay, great. Yes. Okay, great. So you guys can hear me. That's fine. And I can see you folks have joined from different continents of the world. So let's see from which cities you are. If you're comfortable, just type in your city name while folks are joining. So you can type in your city name so we know from where you have. London. Okay. London, I can see London. Leicester, Leeds, Manchester, great. Ireland, London, Bristol. Okay, great, guys. Great, excellent. So, wow, Loughborough. Great. So, guys, since 4 weeks, we were waiting for this event and really thrilled to say that we have two great personalities tonight, Mr. Alfred and Mr. Noha. So really inspiring personalities, and they are going to share their knowledge and their experience here tonight. So stay tuned and don't miss this opportunity. Ask as much questions as possible. So take the advantage of this event tonight. And yes, guys, and also we are live on YouTube. So the link will be will get shared on the chat box here. So you are free to share it with your friends and families, whoever wants to join and take the advantage of tonight's event. So okay, so let's get started for our today's event. So guys, I think Robin, can you please move the slide to the next?
Take it down.
Pari, you are mute.
Oops, sorry guys. I was saying keep your energy high always. And the same slide, welcome you guys. And let's get started. Next slide, Jito, for our rules. Before we move further, here are some house rules. So keep your cell phone off or in silent mode, so you can grab as much information as possible. So next, mute your mic unless you're speaking. And as per the GDPR requirement, your video must be on, but if you're comfortable, keep it on. And also make sure you're taking lots of notes. Any questions, guys, throughout this session, just type it in the comment box and we'll pick this up in our question and answer session. Due to any technical reason, if the call gets dropped, then you can rejoin by using the same link. And you will get this presentation and also the video recording within 24 hours on your email. And lastly, guys, let us know how we did in our Trust Pilot and our survey that we are going to share at the end of this session. So on this note, I'm going to hand over to my partner Kushal, and Kushal, over to you.
Thank you very much, Parinita. It's It's amazing, guys, to see you all here to learn about properties and people sharing their journey. So straight, without wasting any time, let's see what we have in store for you guys today. So as Parinita mentioned, we have two amazing speakers today who are going to share their journey. So the first speaker is going to be Mr. Alfred. So he has built a nearly 7-figure portfolio in pandemic. So it will be great to hear from him what challenges he had and how he has managed to connect with amazing investors and people and build his portfolio. And the second investor is going to be Mr. Noha. So he's going to be sharing his knowledge and wisdom about controlling risk while investing into property. And the question and answer session for both these sessions are going to be held by Mr. Robin and Suja, so who are the co-founders of Project Possible. So this is an amazing opportunity for you guys to ask questions directly to the experts and have some knowledge being shared during these sessions. Then later on, we will be having some announcement and we're going to be sharing who is going to be our next speakers for our next month's live sessions. And we always, like, we always love feedback on the sessions which we are doing. So it will be nice if you could give us some feedback. So we'll be sending out the form to each one of you. So it will be nice if you could give some feedback on the sessions. Then next, we have launched our Project Possible Facebook group as well. So if you have not joined yet, it will be nice to join the group because there is a lot of interesting discussions and things happening in the Facebook group. So please make sure you join it. And at the last, we will be having a vote of thanks done by Meera and Jito on behalf of Project Possible. So before I invite the first speaker, let me take this opportunity to share a little bit about him. So he is really an amazing person. He has got an inspiring story. He, like us all, like me and other people's, like he was doing his 9 to 5 job. He has done his degree, and then with hard work and dedications and surrounding himself with amazing group of properties, investors and people taking right knowledge, he has now managed to build a 7-figure property portfolio in pandemic as well. And I always look forward to him and see how he has managed to achieve these things. He has recently also been nominated in 2 different categories in 2021 Property Investors Award. So before, without any further ado, I would like to invite you, Alfred, to this virtual platform.
Hey guys, thank you for bringing me on here. I appreciate your time.
Alfred, your voice is a little bit weak, so maybe.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah, I can hear you. Okay,
perfect. So I was saying, thank you guys for bringing me on here. Appreciate you guys thinking of me to bring me onto this platform. So I appreciate that. So yeah, if we can move on to the next slide. So I'm going to take you guys through a pack just to share my journey. Investing in property, and I always start with this one slide, which is quite important to me, and I think is a fundamental thing I look at or kind of go to all the time. And it's, if it's important to you, find a way. If it's not, you'll find an excuse, by Ryan Blair. I think it's very, very powerful in times of hard places. That's where you got to remember. If it's important, you find a way. If it's not, you just find an excuse with it. So if we can move on to the next slide, please. So just to kind of reiterate what Kashal said. So my background, I'm an aerospace engineering graduate, did a master's in that. Coming out of that, I managed to secure a contract and role at Jaguar Land Rover, which I was a project manager at that company for just under 5 years. I was managing projects anywhere between 5 million to about 200 million. In parallel, I guess I always aspired to always want more, do more in life. So I looked at getting involved into property, invested quite heavily into that. So I'll go into a bit about that. But pretty much full-time property investor, developer based in the West Midlands. So how did I become a property investor? So like I was saying, coming out of uni, getting a job literally after my exams, my last exams, a month later, I managed to secure a contracting job at Jaguar Land Rover. it was about a year into working, so it was great salary, good lifestyle, good everything. It was all amazing. But for some strange reason, I hadn't looked at what's my earning potential at that role. I kind of had done this degree thinking, yeah, I could go out and go into the industry and basically get a good paycheck. It's only when I wanted to start to see, okay, how do I climb the ladder in terms of getting to 6 figures, and then finding out that you have to kind of spend the next 5 to 10 years building up your experience. And for me seeing that, I just feel like that's a very long time to kind of hit 6-figure salary in that role as a senior project manager. And I thought, what other avenues could I look to kind of accelerate this? I'm not waiting 5 years to 10 years to get to that goal, because I feel like 10 years you should be making, well, in my opinion, you should be earning a lot more than that. So I've always aspired to be wealthy young and create wealth from a young age. So it's just something I've kind of looked to achieve. So kind of reverted back to uni. I always used to see property as in my mind, I had this vision of, I would go into the corporate world, I would then look to buy a property as a kind of form of a vehicle, a retirement vehicle over a time period. So maybe like one a year, as and when I'm able to save enough money, then literally inject that money into a property. And I kind of thought, okay, let's kind of bring that forward and see what we can do, learn about the subject. What is it about? So I went down the route of education. So literally a friend of mine actually, who I spoke to about how work was, how they find year one of working, they all said the same thing. It's great, but this can't be life. I think being young, I don't know, I didn't really think much of what a working lifestyle would look like. So going into that space, I was like, this is great. But there's surely more to life than this. And we all agreed. And literally my friend of mine said, look, there's this free seminar on a weekend. Let's go check it out, see what it's about. I went there, like the person that was speaking in front of the room, I resonated really, really well with what they were saying. I booked myself onto this 3-day course to talk more about property investment in more detail. And there was an investment package to kind of learn more as a form of mentorship, educational courses as well. So I invested £25,000 into my education, into getting mentorship in that space. Again, a very scary thing at the time, because literally I was emptying my bank account. But I truly believe that, look, at the end of the day, 25 grand, yes, it's a decent amount of money, but over my lifespan, it's not a lot of money. It's very little money, if anything. I'm going to spend money on holiday. I'm going to spend 25 grand buying food, holidays, going out, having a good time, which don't really bring any real value. Let's be honest. So if I can kind of look at pulling that money forward and spend that money today with the potential to earn more, to increase my earning capability, why would I not? I have nothing to, even if I lost, if it didn't work out in my mind, I said, well, I'm going to make that money back either way, by form of working in a corporation world, either way. So that's how I kind of sold myself that, you know what, this isn't the worst thing I could do. I'm sure there's worse things we could all do. So for me, I got myself over that. It's still Friday at the time, but I had the self-belief that the information I was hearing and what I was hearing, I believed I can take that information away and go and implement it. So for me, in a sense, I backed myself and just said, you know, I'm going to go and do it and see what happens. I know at the time when I was doing it, everyone was like, why the hell would you spend 25 grand on a course? What's that a course about? Are you sure? Is there a scam? All the stuff. All his parents getting nervous, like, why would you do that? Because I didn't really consult with anybody. I sat in the room, I looked at a bank account, I said, I have the money to do it. Like, I didn't speak to anybody about it, didn't really think too hard about it. I didn't go to any other places to see, oh, is this worth it? Or I just literally, I heard what he said, it resonated, and that was it. I just went with it. And for me, it worked out. I am where I am because of the decision I made. So moving away from that, obviously one of the courses with that company, I learned a few strategies within property investment. For me, I became very, very clear on what strategy best supports my property investment goals. And I think this is very, very important when starting out on this journey. If you're looking to get involved in property, you need to understand to yourself, like, what is it you're setting out to achieve? Like, what do you want to get out of this property investment vehicle? Are you after ownership? Are you after income? Also, what income level are you looking for? For me, it was about earning a high cash flow asset. So I wanted to own the property. So it eliminated quite a lot of strategies where maybe you're leasing or you're doing like a rent to rent model. I wanted to kind of buy and own. And the only strategy that felt within that strategy, it was within my goal set, was the houses of multiple application, which is HMOs, very short, because it produced, again, enough income, which was relative to what I was earning at the time. Doing a simple buy to let gets you there as well, but I'd have to have bought a lot more properties to get to the income goal that I needed. So for me, the way to kind of fast track that, well, not really a fast track, but a quicker way, I guess, for me, was the HMO route and invested in a high cash flowing asset. So that's what I wanted to now, in effect, specialize in and become an expert in that space. So literally all my networking, all my conversations, ideally all I wanted to do is speak to people who are doing the things I wanted to do. There was no point speaking to someone about doing rent to rent or service accommodation or buy to lets when it has no relation to what I want to do in the HMO world. So I only wanted to kind of surround myself with people who are ahead of me. Again, not necessarily even too far ahead, because I think when someone's too far ahead, I don't know, you want to ideally find someone who's 1 or 2 steps ahead of you to kind of, in effect, play catch up or bounce ideas off. They're not too far gone, and maybe that they're in a different mindset space as well. So I just had a close network of people who are pretty much either on the same level, just above me, some doing a lot more as well, just to kind of see what's possible. Because again, for me, seeing is believing. I need to kind of be able to see something. And once I see it and I can relate to the person as well, then I'm like, okay, I'm all in. This makes sense. We are no different. If you've done it, I can do it kind of mentality. And that was my approach. So then I went on to kind of building a team. So when you get into property investment, you get told you need a power team. So again, I'm grateful for my job, because for me, I leveraged that experience into my property business in the sense of, so I was a project manager. I would work with when we're delivering engines for the vehicles, we're working with anywhere between 300 engineers. So as a company, Jaguar Land Rover is obviously looking to employ the best engineers. We're the project managers who are ensuring that the engineers are delivering to our targets, our set requirements, making sure things are progressing. So similarly, I'm looking to employ the best within my property business. Price is not really a concern, in the sense, if I'm getting the value, I'm paying for the value, I'm paying for the ease, I'm paying for the speciality, I'm paying for the solution-oriented person. So that's what I wanted to kind of implement. And again, as well, in work, you kind of, speaking to such a wide range of people, you can kind of tell, you start to learn people's habits, people's ability to do things. And some people need some pushing, some people you kind of literally set a task and they'll run with it. So similar principle, when I was looking to build teams and stuff, I was looking for solution-oriented people, people that can go the extra mile. Anyone I bring on board my team needs to be someone who's solution-oriented. If you're not solution-oriented, I don't want to work with you. I don't want to speak to you, because I'm now in effect going to be doing your job, and I'm hiring you for the purpose of me not having to do your job, if that makes sense. So I want to hire the best in the field. Price is not a factor really, as long as you're delivering the value I believe you can add to me. And then regards actually building a portfolio, again, most people's hurdles are, well, property is not cheap, it's expensive, you need money to do it, and of course you need money, but you can leverage other people. And in my case, I was working at a company where people had, in essence, some savings around them, pension funds. There were people who are quite old, quite old generation of people at a company, and they were always during like breaks and stuff, or during work hours, talking about their pension funds. They can't wait to retire. So when starting out, I leveraged the people around me, the people closest to me, people that I've worked with for a while now, who've got to know me personally, who know my work ethic, and kind of position myself as somebody who is seeking funds for projects. And they all knew, like, during work, again, obviously, not to say you can kind of publicly just be saying these things, because obviously depending on your work scenario, I was very vocal at work. I was fortunate in the sense I could speak about what I would do outside of work. I wasn't just kind of keeping it to myself. Like when I went on courses, I would document it on my social media platform, on my Facebook, Instagram, saying I'm on a course this weekend, learning about X creative finance, for example. So people got to know very quickly, like, okay, Alfred is serious about doing property development. He's going to networking meetings after work in the evening. He's having investor calls. So everybody knew what I was up to. So it wasn't strange. Like they knew. And in essence, me putting myself out there and being seen as this person who's trying to make this thing happen at the time, people saw that work and admired that. And when I then had an opportunity for them to get involved, they were happy to back me, just with the principle that they know me, they've seen what I'm like at work, and they're just saying, okay, if he's like this at work and he's even more passionate about this outside of work, then I'm sure Alpha is good for it. And in essence, they supported me to get my first deal over the line, and then we moved on from there. So if we go on, so next slide. Okay, so what am I doing in property? So in essence, in the property investment world, what I'm literally doing touches on a few bits. So currently I'm focused on building a portfolio of HMOs for cash flow. That was my first objective, looking at literally building a high cash flowing asset. In terms of the properties that I'm looking for, I am literally looking to buy residential homes, which we can convert to multiple units. These units are anywhere between 6 to 8 bedrooms within this one building. Again, creatively using the space, adding floor space, doing rear extensions, loft conversions. We want to try and add as much value as possible. So generally speaking, these type of properties I'll look for are 3-bedroom or 4-bedroom properties. So usually the bedrooms would probably be on the first floor. 3 of them will be on the first floor. The 4th one might be in the loft space already. And then downstairs, there'll be 2 reception rooms with some sort of communal space on the back end. And also as well, I also look for like large gardens as well, because I know if I've got a large garden, there's opportunity to extend and not necessarily lose the amenity space within the garden, because you do need to have some sort of amenity space in the garden to support the number of people within that house. Also, I'm a very strong believer on, if you're trying to add value to property, in my opinion, the safest and most creative way you can do it is by adding floor space, simply because when someone comes, a valuer comes out to look at the property and they say, what have we done to this property? They want to see a clear differentiation between your property and next door. If you've in effect just done a cosmetic refurb, and what I mean by this is like paints, new carpet, new kitchen, new bathroom, they can appreciate, okay, you've made it more up to date, but they could say the ceiling price on that road is X amount, and we don't believe there's any value add in the exercise you've done. So to kind of, in my opinion, to kind of have a fighting chance, if you can clearly demonstrate you've added floor space, i.e. doing a loft conversion, doing a rear extension, a wraparound, whatever it is where you're adding floor space, when they look to compare it to next door, there's no way that they can say next door is the same, because you can clearly show that I've added 30 meters squared in floor space to this building, whereas next door doesn't have that. So in terms of the floor print, I've added more value, and therefore there's an increase in the property price. So I try and always look to try and add some sort of floor space to add the value. In terms of my focus areas in property investment, so as I said before, I'm very big on leveraging the team. So I want to find the best people, employ the best people, work with the best people to allow me to focus on raising finance and finding new deals. I don't really want to focus anywhere else in the strategy. So I've got a management agent, I've got brokers that help me find the lending where needed. I've got a construction company that do the builds, that deliver on the projects that I need them to deliver on. I've got an architect. So these are all part of our power team, my solicitor as well. They all know each other, even from the building control to asset managers, the banks, they literally all know each other. So keeping a close circle, again, just to kind of make things more efficient, more fluid. Cut out, they don't need to speak to me. They all have each other's numbers. They can literally directly speak to each other. And I don't necessarily need to get involved. So that's how I like to run things, so to allow me to focus my energy and where I think I'm more value to finding new deals, to keep the pipeline flowing, to keep everybody occupied, and also obviously raising enough capital to support the deals that I'm doing. So yeah, that's what I'm currently doing in property. So I want to kind of show you an example of a project that I did in the past. So this was a 5-bedroom. It was a old HMO property, which a retiring landlord was looking to exit the market. I then saw the opportunity to potentially add an extra room in the loft space. So we did a loft conversion as part of this property. And we also did a rear extension on this property to add more communal space to this property. I acquired this property at £225,000. The refurbishment costs us 88,000. The end valuation on bricks and mortar was 360K at the time. In terms of rental, this property brought in 3,400 per calendar month. Net rental on this property was 1,480. So again, very, very good cash flow in assets. In terms of HMOs, you're generally looking upwards of £1,000 income you can achieve on this. So if we move on to next. So this is just an illustration to kind of show you what the building looked like when I acquired it. Some people could argue this building just needs some sort of update in obviously color scheme, new carpets, new decoration, and you're probably good to go. But again, another principle of mine is because I plan to hold this long term, I have no intention of selling this anytime soon. I want to know what's in there in terms of the functionality, because people are going to live in this house, and 6 people live in this house. When things go wrong, they very quickly want to get problems resolved. So for me, this is a great opportunity for me to go back to brick, start all over again, to create the rooms that I wanted, the sizes I want, put the en-suites in the rooms as well, and also do a loft conversion. So I literally gutted everything out to start again, to allow me to kind of know that, okay, I know this is new plumbing, new kitchen, new electrics, everything in there is brand new. I know who installed it. So any issues, I know who I'm calling to come in as part of the team to rectify any issues. There's another slide showing the during stage, kind of show you how the property looks exposed and what we kind of did to get the value add. As you can see on towards the bottom center, we did a rear extension to match the next door's extension they had done on the property as well. All of this as well, by the way, didn't necessarily need to go through planning. It was all under permitted development. So permitted development rights is something that allows you to do certain alterations to property without having to speak to the council. So I use that to advantage to be able to get these all extensions and loft conversions into this property. And if we go on to show you the final product of the property. So with this, you can see I've gone for a very high-end finish. Again, another philosophy of mine, I'm looking to target the young professional market or student market, and I want to attract a higher rent in the area, or as high as possible in rent. So it's not fairly common to kind of hit that 3,400 per calendar month. You could hit the 2008, generally speaking, 2007 on an average property, but I want to try and push the boundaries a bit to try and provide a good looking property to allow people to want to pay the higher rate, which for me obviously helps me in terms of the income I produce from this asset, the single building. If we move on, I've got another project I want to talk you guys through. This is a larger project that we did. This was a 4-bedroom house, which we converted into an 8-bedroom HMO. This one, we had to go through planning. The way I structured this deal is I gave the vendor the price they wanted in effect and my terms. So in effect, it was their price, my terms. So their price was, they wanted 310 on the property. I think they even said they wanted 315. And I said, look, 310 is what we can kind of do on this. They agreed to that. We agreed, subject to me getting the planning gain, I would give them the 310. Because initially I wanted to pay 300 and they wanted 315. So in fact, that's okay. You know, I'll give you 310. I'm not take too much off the number you're wanting. 310, and you allow me to go through planning. Once I get the planning gain, I'll also complete in the purchase. And then obviously at that point, they've been paid out. I can get off my refurb. Refurb wise, we spent 120,000. So a bigger refurb than the previous, which was 88,000. This again, differently from a valuation point of view. It being such a large property, we could value it on a commercial basis, meaning you can value it based on the rental income it produces. So this property generates £5,000 a month with a net cash flow of £2,000, circa £2,000 from this one property. Again, another amazing property, part of the portfolio. which generates a large amount of income, and you'll see why in a sec. So if we check the pictures, again, you can kind of see a theme. These properties aren't like the worst looking properties. They're not falling down. They're just generally tired and need updating. So same principle applies. We wanted to go back to brick, start again. And you can see how we're looking at generating the higher rents as well for the property. Everything's very high end, luxury, king size beds in the rooms. Again, not many properties offer king size beds, but with the larger rooms, I can generate that income from that rental. When the fact that I'm offering them a king size bed, a very comfortable bed as well, spacious room. They got a kitchenette facility within the room. So all these things add to being able to achieve the rents that I achieve. Generally speaking, is people don't achieve those rents because nobody goes to this level of interior design, standard or finish. But for me, these are principles, the core principles of the business. I want to create a product where people walk in and are wanting to kind of not lose a chance to rent a room in this property, and are happy to kind of pay a deposit on the spot, literally, subject to checks coming back okay and reference checks coming back okay. So yeah, as you can see, that's it. Top tips to succeed in property. I want to quickly share some few points in terms of anybody interested in getting into this space. There's a lot of challenges in property development for sure. I come across loads. For example, the first project I showed you, luckily I was buying the Victorian houses, so we had good ceiling heights. We had an architect who had estimated the loft space, and from the external of the property, he had estimated the loft space. Upon going in there, we realized the space in there isn't enough to have a room in there. The head height wasn't enough. Luckily, the property being a Victorian property, we had opportunity to drop the ceiling to get the head height we needed within the loft space to allow us to create that room. Again, there was no real genius thing about this. It's just by chance having these larger houses. And to be fair, I pride on wanting to buy larger houses because I feel like there's opportunity to do more, there's scope to do more. So again, having a team that are very solution oriented and knowing that you can drop the ceilings to get the head height you need, and kind of saying it's not a problem. All we have to do is obviously potential extra costs to have to redo each floor, but it's not a problem. So again, having a team that is our problem solvers, or you yourself being a problem solver in essence, and being very directional when it comes to solving problems and empowering your team to kind of come up with solutions. So I don't necessarily come up with the solutions to the problems. I'm always kind of empowering my team. What would you guys do in this situation? What are the options available? And this is what I'm in effect paying them for. I wanted to be able to come up and say, this is option A, this is option B, this is option C. I think we can do option C based on the cost and the timing and material. We can get this very quickly and turn it around. So that's probably the best one we can go for. And that empowers them. If I've gone with what they wanted to do in essence, which again, there's an element of trust in this relationship to kind of empower them to go ahead and go away and deliver on this. That's the principle I run in my business. Another thing is being a people person. Massive thing you need in the space of property investment. Property investment is all about networking, who you know, your network. So you've got to put yourself in those positions to be able to build relationships, whether it's agents, whether it's build teams, whether it's solicitors, brokers, to be a likable person, people want to work with you. So that's one thing. Another thing, strong mindset, again, just to handle all the hurdles you have to jump through in terms of delays, material costs going up. It can be very like, if you haven't worked on your mindset and aren't of a place where you believe you can overcome the problems that you keep seeing, you can very quickly say, this is not for me. It's too much hard work, because this takes, generally speaking, a HMO project will take anywhere from let's call it 4 months of conversion, just conversion alone. We're not talking about your purchase duration, which is about another 2 months, and then getting it rented out. So you're looking at 7 months before you potentially see a single income from this property. Whereas all this time, a lot of money is coming in your pocket to kind of get to that end goal, which is obviously rewarding, but it's a patient wait. And obviously 7 months is a long time in terms of what can happen. So you just got to be prepared, have exit strategies. So mindset is massive. Can-do attitude is the same pretty much. You've got to have that mentality to be able to keep moving forward. Creative thinker, that helps when trying to overcome problems, finding solutions. Again, team management is important from the point of view of, I don't want to obviously be in the business. I want to kind of manage the team and make sure things are run as the way I'd like. So again, being able to manage people, get the best out of them, obviously then as a result gives you the end product you need. So being able to manage people is a massive skill you need to have as part of investing in property. So yeah, I believe this is the closing point. On the last slide, I've got my details on here. So feel free to connect with me on Instagram, mainly is where I'm active on, or LinkedIn. It's my name, Alfred Jade. I've got my email address on there as well. If you've got any emails, if you've got any questions, or one thing I do want to highlight as well. So I've currently got 2 projects that I'm looking at funding. So anybody that's interested, who's got funds sat around, not necessarily using the funds, and is looking for a return on their money rather than leaving the bank, feel free to send me a message on my Instagram, on email. I also have a YouTube channel showcasing all my projects, kind of the walkthroughs from start to finish, literally from acquiring it, what it looks like, to it being ripped out, to it then being fully dressed, ready to let. But yeah, LinkedIn, Facebook, feel free to connect. Those are my details. Guys, I shall pass it back to you guys.
Thank you, Alfred, for your valuable insight on property development. I mean, your journey into property development is such an inspiration for all of us. Someone has rightly said that there are no secrets to success. It is the result of preparation, hard work, and learning from failure. You had your goals and your ambition, and you had a very strong mindset, which has made you today a very successful property developer. Thank you for sharing the tips, for the top tips for us to, for all the participants who's come here, who can succeed in property development if they follow those tips that you've shared. On behalf of Project Possible, I want to thank you for your insightful presentation. So to everyone who's present here, this is your opportunity to ask questions directly to Alfred. I've got one question in the chat box, Alfred, for you.
Okay, let's go for it.
The question is, when applying for planning,
Yes.
do you straight away apply for 8-bed HMO, or there is a process for it?
Yeah, it's a good question. Obviously, every council is different. The more staggered approach can get you a better chance of approval. And so what I mean by this is, under permitted development, you can develop a house up to 6-bedroom HMO without having to go through planning. So when you say to a planner, when you submit an application saying you're going from a 6 to an 8-bedroom house, a HMO property, there's less things for them to consider, because they're thinking it's 2 additional people, 2 additional rooms, parking requirements, amenity space. There isn't much of a change. So in terms of change, it's not a big jump. Whereas if you go from like what I did, 4 to an 8, there could be a view of you're over intensifying the property. It's such a drastic change, and sometimes it can be frowned upon. So it's going into planning portal within your council, seeing what's been approved recently in terms of within the area you're looking at improving, getting approval. What kind of applications have been approved in the past? Has it been a residential house, C3 class, straight into C generous application, which is 7, 8, 9 plus rooms? And if you're seeing a repetition of that on rows nearby the property, and again, as close as possible, we don't want to look 5 miles away. You want a quarter-mile radius, half-mile radius, to kind of get an idea of what the council expects and what they're currently approving. And if they're not approving and rejecting them, what are they rejecting on the basis on? So again, read the decision notice as to why they're rejecting them and pick up those points. And that's how you try and Again, with councils, all they're trying to do is satisfy their requirement. If you satisfy the requirement, they'll give you that final approval. If you're challenging their principles, their requirements, they're going to reject you. So you're not trying to challenge anybody. You're trying to satisfy their requirements. And a successful application, all it does is supports their requirements. So I hope that answers that.
Okay, thank you, Alfred. I've got another question. How you can raise finance from private investor if you have the knowledge but not the experience, and where is the best place to find investors and approach them? That's asked by Ariel.
Yeah, so good question. Is if I could talk from experience, because yes, I had knowledge. I invested in my education quite heavily into that. I had mentorship programs and stuff. So I was well versed in the property investment space, but I still lacked experience. And again, it comes down to the word leveraging people to kind of bridge the gap of experience. I found a build team that's done this several times over to leverage their experience, because the risk element is developing a project of such a magnitude. So it's, can I find a team that's done this to leverage their credibility in terms of being able to successfully deliver these type of projects, with me having the knowledge. So it's a combination of the two. And so when I'm speaking to investors, I'm positioning myself from a place of, I have the knowledge, I also have the team who have the experience. Combined, we can deliver this project. So don't dwell too much on experience. You definitely need something, which knowledge is a good starting point. Also, don't forget, and as an investor, you're not necessarily just looking at the person based on experience. You do have investable qualities, such as being a hardworking individual, someone that's got the can-do attitude, someone that does whatever it takes to get a job done, someone someone's hungry, ambitious. These are all investable qualities. So it's how you're positioning yourself to these people. It's what's going to help you get an investor over the line. Also, when starting out, I know people kind of talk about, where do you find investors? Investors are everywhere. People that you speak to on a daily basis, your family members, your work colleagues. You forget you spend probably more time with your work colleagues than you do with your own family members, because you're always speaking to them, working with them. So very quickly they get to know who you are as an individual. They know what your ability is, what you're capable of doing, what your what your ability is, basically. And therefore, if they see that you're someone serious and aspiring to this thing, and they want to support you, that's them in effect supporting you by form of investing with you on your projects. And again, as well, you're not just coming from a place of you're asking for money, you're coming from a place of value, which is, I am someone who can take the money that's currently sat in your bank account, earning you pretty much nothing. If anything, you're actually losing money in the bank account. And I am going away with my expertise in terms of my team, with my knowledge, to then go and earn you a better return than what you're currently earning. So it's an exchange of value. So no one we're both on the same level playing field, in the sense you have a problem, which is the investor has a problem, which is they have money sat there not getting a good return, versus as well you, who's come from a place of value, which you know how to apply that money to be able to go get great return and safely return that money back with their agreed interest on top of that money, if that makes sense. So it's all positioning. It's all about, can you present yourself as someone coming from a place of value? And if you can, and someone likes you, knows you and trusts you, which ideally those are the people closest to you, because they've known you the longest, they probably trust you and they like you. That's where you're going to start from. Later on, then yes, you start looking at a wider net of people, which could be people you haven't met before, strangers who have seen your work and admire you and want to work with you. But to start with, focus on your closest circle. It could be a neighbor next door, families, whatever, your postman, even anybody's taxi driver, whatever, someone you're speaking to. Just speak to people around you and just have conversations. Again, don't be too salesy, looking to raise money. Just come from a place of value, have very conversations of I'm speaking to investors, looking at offering them returns, tell stories about what you're currently going through, your viewings you're doing, the challenges you're having on your journey at the moment. That will then engage people. And if they can relate to you or think they can help you out, then that's where they'll come and invite you to pitch. Tell me more. How does this work? So that's how you want to structure it. So I hope that helps you, Karim. I really Sorry, I can't pronounce your name, but yeah, hope that helps.
Yeah, thank you, Alfred. I think Ariel has asked another question. What is the best way to find builders?
Again, another good question. Finding builders, you want to get into an investment area. Everyone thinks it's like there's like a trick to finding builders, and there really isn't. Literally, I'm sure if you walked around your investment area, literally walked around or drove in a car on the streets, you will see banners, skips outside of properties. These skips are indications of construction works happening in these properties. So you want to then literally simply knock on the door, find out who's on site, find out who the main person is, and engage them. Say, look, I'm new to the area, I'm looking to find a build team, and then have a conversation with them, see what they offer, what they do, what kind of projects they do, what's their experience like. You want to see a project that they're currently doing, a project that they've done, completed, to kind of get a feel of their finish. Don't trust pictures, don't trust videos, because again, everyone can kind of take a good picture on a good angle of the best part of the property. You want to see this in person. Recommendations are good from other local investors as well, but again, take that with a pinch of salt, because everybody's taste is different. Just because one person likes something doesn't mean you're going to like it. So you need to make your own assessment for yourself. So obviously, yeah, take their word for it in the sense, this person, you can approach them, but go and verify, do your own due diligence by seeing the work yourself. And in essence, that's how you find build teams. That's one way you can find build teams.
Okay, thank you, Alfred. I've got another question. Does the builder need any experience of building HMO?
Yes, 100%. I wouldn't touch a builder that has never built on HMO, doesn't know what HMO regulation, what's required, fire doors, fire alarms. And again, you can test them. So again, this is where you need to come from a place of knowledge. Obviously, I could understand you don't know what you don't know as well, but have the basic understanding of what does a HMO require, and you can test the builder. Oh, so what fire alarm do you put in a 6-bedroom HMO? Just to see what answer they give you, and that would determine as well. Are they familiar with the systems, the fire panels that need to go in them? Do we need to have fire? Just literally play dumb. Do we need? Obviously, you know the answer to this, but you're asking questions to test their knowledge and experience in that space. Because one thing a builder can do is, oh yeah, I can do HMO. I've done loads of them before. So if they can't take it to a site where they're actually actively doing one, again, don't just take a builder's word for it, because they always want a job. They're not going to turn down a job, so they're going to want the business, and they'll try whatever they can to get the business. By you coming from a place of knowledge, you can ask and vet them by asking HMO regulation related questions to see if they're aware, and that will determine, yes, okay, these people, they know what they're doing, they know how to do this stuff. But definitely they need to be in that space, or whatever you set out to do, they have to have experience in that space.
Thank you, Alfred. Arti has asked a question: which investment strategy you will recommend for beginner?
So just going off the principle, which I said, which is you've got to understand, what do you want to get out of property? Do you want property to be just an income stream for you? Not necessarily own an asset, you just want to make income, create business from it. There's different strategies out there that will determine, or that will provide you with that result. So you've got to, first of all, be very clear what it is you want to get out of property. Do you want to own the building? Do you care, or just want to make income? Happy to lease the building or do a rent-to-rent scheme? As well, income levels in terms of, are you comfortable with earning £300, £400 from a buy-to-let potentially, or you're looking at a slightly larger income, which is up in the thousands? Then there's very little strategies that you can do that will support that. So it's getting very clear on your income goals, your outcome you want from property investing, and that was what will determine what strategy will fit in. There's a whole list of strategies. We can't go through all of it today, but you'll be able to eliminate based on what you want to get out of the property vehicle, what strategy best supports that, and then say, okay, which one can I go with the best, or which one I feel like I can do the best, and then run with that, become the expert in that, get knowledge of that, be in that network of that group who are doing those things.
Okay, I've got another question by Paige. Which lender do you use for HMOs?
Again, it varies. I've worked with Shawbrook, I've worked with Carolines, I've worked with Octane Capital. there's no right or wrong. It's who your broker is, what's the best product at the time, how good are they at processing stuff. Because if you work with mortgage providers, you know these guys are slow sometimes. They want to ask 10,000 questions. So having a broker who's going to identify you a good bridging company, mortgage provider on the back end of getting your refurb done, that's what in essence you need. So I hope that kind of answered that.
Okay. The next question I have is from Sachin. How to identify good return on investment HMO locations?
So obviously ROI wise, I've always said that's like based on each individual. Some individuals are happy with 10% ROI, so return on investment, some are happy with 25, some want 50%. So obviously you could work out what your return on investment is. Again, not to kind of get very technical with this, but if you're doing a deal appraisal on a deal, how much you bought the property for, how much you invested, what's the revaluing at, and then kind of working out how much money are you able to recycle post completing on the project, that will determine what ROI figure you get. And you can do that for multiple areas in the country to see what ROI figures you're getting, and then does that align with the ROI you're expecting to kind of get from your money? And if it's not, obviously you don't work in that area. If it does, then you work in that area. But it's not just ROI. There's some limiting factors as well with working with certain councils. Some councils have something called Article 4, which stops you from getting a house and converting it straight into a HMO, which is another hurdle you now have to jump through. So there's all these considerations as well. Is it a student town? What's the workforce in that town? So what generates your ROI is having a good property in a good location that is going to be let out. And I mean, there's opportunity to have that market increase in value. So these are the things you want to kind of assess in an area, not just the ROI. So it's not a straightforward, quick 2-minute answer. There's a lot to it. Market research, which will identify if the area is good for the ROI that you're looking for.
Thank you so much, Alfred, for answering all the questions. Sorry, guys, because of time constraint, we have to go to the next session. But thank you, Alfred. Thank you for answering the questions. We would love to have you back on this platform. I am your biggest fan now, because you have really inspired me with all your goals and the way that you have set yourself in property development. You have really inspired me. Thank you so much. I'm so honored to have you here. Thank you, Alfred.
No, thanks for having me, guys. I appreciate you guys bringing me on here. I appreciate it. It's been amazing anyways. But yeah, hope I gave you guys some value stuff to think about and just to get your mind thinking of what's possible in this space. But yeah, appreciate you guys. Thank you so much.
Thank you. If anyone else has any questions, please don't worry. You can always post it in our Facebook group, and we would try to answer those questions. I would just hand over to Jitto now to introduce our next expert. Over to you, Jitto.
Thank you. And once again, Alfred, I know you have a busy schedule, and like today itself, you were busy throughout the day, and you still managed to squeeze time into the diary. So I really appreciate. You've got multiple projects going on, multiple networking events you attend. I closely follow you on Facebook. Not only me, my 7-year-old son also keep asking me, is there any update about Alfred? So he knows your names. So, and when my son asks, I need to, like my wife also start asking, oh, who's this guy? So I need to so we definitely follow your story. What you're doing is you're inspiring a lot of people. And I know a lot of people who are on this Zoom call right now. They're all kind of taken real value from you, and you have really inspired a lot of people to start that journey, to break that 9 to 5, because when they do 9 to 5, a few years is okay, but doing it for 30, 40 years, as you said, just to get to a 6-figure figure, it takes 10 years. That's a really painful time to kind of spend, and you do a lot of sacrifices, and that's what exactly people are doing right now. So you are definitely an inspiration for me, for all of us on this call, and you have breakthrough like that barrier of 9 to 5 and become a full-time property investor. And all the best for what you're doing. We are all here to support you, and like you're leading us the way. So we will all follow your footsteps, and whatever you have shared, I think that has given real value. I was making notes. I was just making notes while you were sharing, and I'm sure all of the people were also making notes too. So thanks for your valuable time, Alfred. And I'm sure a lot of people will follow you on your social media, connect with you, and we will continue to work together. And as Suja said, we will love to have you back like on this virtual platform. It's a growing platform. It's very new. It's just been 3 months, and good to have you on this platform. Yeah, thanks, Alfred. Yeah.
No, I appreciate that, JD. Thank you. Appreciate it.
So guys, now we have let me share my screen. Yeah. So we are moving to the next part of the session. So we got Noha with us now. Like when we do property, as Alfred also mentioned, that property, you have to wait for 7 months. And once you acquire a property, you stay with that property for the rest of your life. And you have two things, cash flow and appreciation. But a lot of things can go wrong, as Alfred has already mentioned. And Noah is the person who's going to put light on it. So when things go wrong, what are the things we can do in advance to protect us as investors, developers, or if you're in property or a beginner or you have a big portfolio, when things go wrong, let it be a tenant, let it be a property itself, let it be some kind of damage or something goes wrong, what should be done? So this is what we say, not reactive, but proactive measures to protect your assets, your property. So that's what Noah is going to take you through. Noah is a director of Noah Arc, and he also has he kind of develops leaders, he trains leaders, and he has a franchisee model across UK. And I think from what I know he's the fastest growing insurance franchisee in UK. So I really see his passion is kind of energy, and he's always a giver. Whenever I pick up the call, he will always make sure that he'll ask about how things are going, how is the business going, what he can do for me. He will make sure that I'm comfortable. He will just run the product in detail with me. And any questions I have, crazy questions I have, he will take patiently answer those questions. So I can see how he look after his clients, his businesses, and I'm sure he's going to add a great value with us for us this evening. So on that note, I'm going to invite Noah to our virtual platform. Noah, are you with us? Noah, are you with us?
No problem.
Let me just give him a quick call because he was on the call waiting for us to start. Yes, Noah. Thank you. Thank you. Yeah. Okay, so Noah is joining us. And for the next 20-25 minutes, Noah will share his experience, his insight, and then we will have an opportunity to ask questions to Noah when it comes to risk management and risk control about property. It's a very important part of it. Whenever I do any property and we have got the mortgage, everything is finalized. But before the money is released, this is something which we have to do so important, ensuring that property, covering that risk. And that's where Noah has been a great support in my and our core team's journey. So he will be with us. So guys, while we wait for Noah to join us, just few quick updates. If you have any questions to ask, not only just while this live event is going on, but for the next 4 weeks or going forward, if you have any questions to ask, please post it on the social media, Project Possible. Or if you want to ask personally to any of our experts, like for example, Alfred, he is very much visible on social media. You take YouTube, you take Instagram, he's very much visible. So you can always reach out to our experts, take their if you want to work with them or invest with them or do certain things, you can always do that. And for Project Possible, we got pretty much all the social media platforms, Instagram, YouTube, we got our Facebook group, and you can always reach out to us personally as well. Noha, are you there with us? I can see he's logged in, but okay. I'm just conscious of time. What I'll do is I'll cover a few things which which will come later, but then and then I'll hand over it to Noha once he's live, he's online. So guys, what we have done is we have created a Facebook group known as Project Possible Club. Like one of our core team members will share the link. Please do join the group. It has just been started and we already have, I think, more than 300 members on that group. So that group will get more and more active in the sense answering questions, doing polls, like announcements, many offers and strategies. All those things will come on Project Possible Club. So please do join the group wherein you will have all the experts also like supporting you guys on your journey. We also want to mention about the YouTube channel we have. It's been just 15 weeks that we have started our YouTube channel and we already have more than 400 subscribers. Now, someone like Alfred has more than 4,000 subscribers. So do check out his YouTube channel and make sure that you guys click on subscribe. Whenever Alfred does any new project, he always shares that. So make sure that you follow that. And we also have our own Project Possible YouTube channel. We got more than 462 videos are already there in 15 weeks. So just imagine, like, you got a lot of content out there where you can start your baby steps in property. And we already have 5,500 views. So that's something which you should always check out. There's a lot of content, quality content there when it comes to property. Now, what we have done is based on a lot of people asking questions and based on your demand, what we have done is we have created a series known as commercial property. A lot of people was asking questions about that. So we have our first video on commercial property. Please check out if you want to have introduction to commercial property. We also have Power Couple Coffee Chat, wherein we just talk about the general topic, what is going on, house or a flat, things like that, basic things. So that can clear up your thoughts and ideas around different topics. As property investors, you have to be really efficient and effective when it comes to using technology. And we got so many apps. Noah, you're there.
I am indeed. Apologies for the delay.
Brilliant, brilliant. So we got Noah with us. So what I'll do is I'll take a pause here and I will hand over the virtual stage to Noah. Noah, over to you. Thank you.
Thank you very, very much. Good evening, everybody. Good evening, good evening, good evening, good evening. I hope you're all doing really well. I am enjoying the show, but multitasking as well at the same time. The first speaker was amazing, a lot of information, a lot of insight, a lot of things that I was able to actually learn from his talk, essentially. But like I said, I'm running an office at the same time with busy consultants, the phone ringing here and there. So I'm doing my best to juggle, which we have to do, obviously, as entrepreneurs. So thank you very much, first and foremost, Jito and everybody, as part of Project Possible, for this opportunity to come on and discuss very briefly. This will be a very short presentation. The slides are very short. I tend to be a little bit different from most presenters in the sense I don't talk as much. I'm not shy. It's just, I want to get the message out there as quick as possible in a way that you can understand. I welcome some questions, of course, at the end of the slides. But essentially, the idea is I just want to be able to give some value, some information to the community in respects to what I do. So first and foremost, I'll just introduce myself. My name is Noah Laguda. I am one of 8 regional directors for the biggest and largest insurance intermediary broker in the whole of the United Kingdom called Unisure. Not only does Unisure facilitate insurance policies across a wide range of fields. We also do deal with many aspects of finance. We also do deal with commercial financing for properties, development finance, and a lot of other things of that nature as well. So we do have a lot of tools that we use to our disposal to help different aspects of the needs of our clients. In relation to myself, I'm a specialist insurance advisor. I've been in the industry for almost 5 years now, and rose up the ranks just through hard work, through dedication, through drive, and just because really saw that there was a gap in the market in relation to insurance, not only in my community, but in many others. So by training myself, highly skilled, I was able to give a lot of value, presented to thousands of people all over the UK, and able to build teams upon teams into the hundreds. And of course, earned my regional directorship back in 2019. And then since then, I've obviously developed my own limited company, Noah Shaw Limited, which is now kind of the barnstorm, pushing that through in relation to insurance. We have employees now. We have many different things that we're doing in my office in Canary Wharf. 50-man office space that I have here that I run in South Key. And it's just been going from strength to strength, really, to be fair, because we've been able to make insurance fun, which is something people tend not to sort of want to engage or talk about, really, is insurance. But we've been able to make it fun, make it lively, make it something that people actually engage with and understand, most importantly, the importance of it. And yeah, fully regulated by the FCA and the PRA, our regulatory bodies. And yes, before I talk anymore, I'll go straight into the presentation. Okay, brilliant. So the first product that I want to talk to you about, so primarily today, essentially, I'm not going to talk too much about the personal aspects of insurance that I mainly facilitate, but I will talk about the aspects in relation to property insurances. Now, whether it's a buy-to-let property or residential property that you've bought, you need building insurance if you are a freeholder of the property, of course. And if you're buying, obviously, a house, semi-detached, terraced, mid-terraced, whatever it is, and some types of converted flats and bungalows and different aspects of these are freehold properties, essentially. And if you are the freeholder, you would need a building insurance on the building, because should anything happen to the building, should a fire, should a flood, should a thunderstorm smash the roof, whatever it may be, you are liable. And the building, the exterior of the building, costs a lot of money to repair on damage. So having a building insurance, especially with accidental damage attached to it, will give you a fantastic amount of protection against natural causes, against accidental stuff, you name it. So it's extremely vital. In fact, a lot of mortgage companies, probably all, will not actually let you complete without having a building insurance in place. They need to make sure that the money that they're lending you, essentially safeguarded by the insurance, that if anything happened to the property, you would get the property rebuilt, or a cash lump sum to rebuy, or whatever, to pay off the lender their money and do whatever else you got to do. So buying a building insurance is not only vital, but it's somewhat legal and mandatory as well. So if you are a homeowner or a property owner in the UK and you do not have the building insurance, you need to get in touch with myself immediately, because you are putting yourself in a very precarious situation, possibly. Brilliant. Now, what usually goes sometimes alongside building insurance is something called content insurance. Now, content insurance works two different ways. So as a residential owner of a property, you will definitely need content insurance, because as you can see in the picture there, you got fantastic sofas, you got all this furniture, looks really nice. But what happens if a flood happens? If a flood happens and it damages the rugs, damages the flooring, damages the sofa, what happens if a fire was to happen inside the property, damages everything, or even a burglary as well. If someone burgled your home and turned that beautiful looking home upside down, then do you do? You're left with the bill if you don't have a content insurance. So it's extremely important to make sure that all of your valuables within the home are covered. That, as you can see, not just the stuff that you can see, but in general, content insurance even goes so much deeper. Because remember, you've got fridge, freezers, washing machines, dishwashers, you name it. The list goes on and on and on and on. You know, so having a content insurance does usually safeguard all of your personal belongings and things within the home against accidental damage, including your TVs, including laptop, things of that nature as well, for up to £75,000. So content insurance extremely important as a residential owner. It's also important, not necessarily more for landlords, because you're not living in the property. So usually if it's unfurnished, you wouldn't really bother about that. But if you have furnished a property and, you know, and there's valuable things in there that you've left for the tenant to occupy, I would definitely say encourage them to maybe take a contents insurance, or you take one out yourself to protect your belongings, whichever way. So that's something I definitely obviously would always advise. And again, this is something that I can help with. So if you have tenants that are moving into your properties, if you do not have the content insurance, if you've taken out the building, that's fine. Why not refer them over to me? Yeah, so that we can actually put a content insurance in place to protect their content, because some of them might not even be aware of how to do it, what's available, and they don't see the priority. You know, if they've got stuff in there that needs to be protected against a fire, theft, or a flood, you know, it needs to be covered. It needs to be protected. So I definitely would advise a content insurance for residential owners of a property, and also for tenants of a buy to let property as well. And there's many add-ons that we can put in there for valuable items like watches, necklaces, jewelry, that kind of thing. Very, very good one. Yeah, so now what we can also do as well is bolting something called home emergency cover. This is also very important as insurance. I know with our boilers, we can get sort of insurances separately from British Gas and the providers, as it were. But with some of the providers that I use, for example, we can bolt in for a small fee home emergency cover, which won't necessarily cover your boiler exclusively, but what it does is actually covers some aspects of damage to the boiler, and also different aspects of the property against an emergency. So a burst of pipes, water mains, if the toilet got flooded, that kind of stuff. Now, as a property owner, if you solely own the property and you're have any kind of sort of home emergency cover on there, you're liable if something like that happens. Obviously, the tenant's going to call you, and then you might have to go there or call a plumber or whatever. The call out fees, you name it, are very, very expensive. So having a home emergency bolted into your policy can help to mitigate any kind of unforeseen emergencies that could occur that may not necessarily be a big deal, but it could actually cost you a lot of money in the long run if you don't have a home emergency cover. So I definitely would say things like boilers, heating systems, hot water in the house. Like I said, if the water pipes burst, if there was a problem with the drainage, that kind of stuff for home emergency is there. You know, it can also cover things. You know, there's many different things it can cover. So I would definitely say that is something that's also very important to have a look at if you're a property owner. Lovely. The next slide talks about legal expenses. Legal expenses plays its part when we have those tenants that don't want to leave the house, and we've got to take them to court, and we've got to, you know, fight for our rights and all that kind of stuff as property owners. It can be a very stressful period. It can be very difficult. They may even decide to take us to court because they felt they were unfairly evicted, whatever it may be. Now, it can be quite a costly bill going to court. So we definitely would say have legal expenses insurance added in to your buildings and contents on your home emergency or whatever else, because it then provides you with a safety net of costs that the insurer would pay if ever you had to go to court because of a tenant that didn't want to leave the house, or because there's a dispute that went on. Maybe something got damaged within the property that you thought was the tenant's fault, but it wasn't, or it was, or whatever. Legal expenses helps to fit the bill if you've got to go to court regarding your property. Because let's face it, you've paid a lot of money for this property. You've, you know, done a lot of work to get this asset. You know, don't sort of let costs spiral out of the roof and start eating into the profits that you obviously have made or desire to make, because you didn't have something like that in place. You know, legal expenses cover. Next slide, please, Jita. Rent guarantee insurance, light bulb moment. Obviously, during the pandemic, the insurers took this off the market. They were not offering this anymore because we had, you know, very difficult situations during the pandemic. People were not able to pay their rent. etc., etc., etc. So there was claims going through the roof. So the insurers stopped that straight away. They stopped offering it. But the good news, light bulb, it's back again. You know, they are offering rent guarantee insurance again to landlords who take out building insurance. And you can also add it in if it's just the content as well. But building insurance and content, you can add your rent guarantee, which means that if a tenant fails to make their payments, you can make a claim to reimburse yourself or the business back for loss of rent. So this is I mean, I've said it all the time, and Jito knows, this is imperative to have, because we're not just talking about a pandemic, we're talking about anything, you know, could happen where a tenant doesn't pay you the rent and it becomes difficult, you're losing money, you name it, whatever, and it falls on you. So if you have a rent guarantee insurance, one quick call to the insurer, explain the situation to them. They might ask for some evidence to find out what's going on. And lo and behold, they start obviously making monthly payments until we can either get that tenant out or whatever it is, and you get somebody back in. But yeah, rent guarantee insurance, extremely vital and important, especially in these times that we're living in. And a lot of people may think they don't need it. Yeah, it's right. You may not need it now, but there may come a time when you will. And if you will, are you able to, you know, cushion the blow of losing rent for a very long period of time? Fantastic. So coming towards the end of the presentation now, I told you I won't be long. Hope I'm not talking too fast, but I will answer some questions, of course, at the end. So this is a life insurance and critical illness cover. Classic mistake I see all the time. I speak to a lot of property owners. A lot of them, they do not have a life insurance on the property. They do not have a critical illness cover on the property. Now, what this essentially means is that were you to pass within the mortgage period of the property you own, the insurer would pay out a lump sum amount of money to the family so they can clear off the mortgage that's on that property. And what does that mean? Again, that's a bit of a light bulb moment. It means that the family would inherit the property mortgage free. And if you are in this for long term, the idea is we're passing down these properties to our future generations. And with buy-to-lets, of course, when we start running down the term, it then becomes slightly difficult to just sort of remortgage it again and things of that nature. And what's one of the worst situations is if you know, the one of the main players or the mortgage owner or whatever it is passes away unexpectedly. A life insurance provides you with instant cash to be able to clear off that mortgage and own the property outright. Same with a critical illness cover. If you suffer the likes of cancer, stroke, heart attack, if you've insured yourself against the property, residential, buy-to-let, whatever it is, will pay you money to clear off that mortgage, tax-free money as well, so that your family can inherit the properties without any mortgage on them whatsoever at all. This is how we start to talk about real generational wealth and things of that nature. We become mortgage-free, debt-free, all that kind of stuff just through basic insurance policies. I do have a lot of clients who have had these policies and have seen payouts from them successfully. And I've seen the rewards that they've seen, and it's been amazing. But I also see a lot of people who don't have this stuff. I'm thinking it's a little bit sort of, you know, a gamble in a way to protect yourself against these assets that you've worked so hard for, you know. And yeah, let's face it, anything can happen at any time. So it's very important to make sure that we insure ourselves against our assets. And of course, the cost of it is not as much as you think. It generally isn't, but the importance of it is extremely important. So again, these are things that I give advice on. If you are a property owner, if you own properties, if you do not have life insurances on them or critical illnesses on them, this is something I'm happy to discuss with you and teach you, you know, the importance about it and what part it can play in being a very important tool in your portfolio. And that brings me to the end of my presentation. I hope you guys have enjoyed it. I hope it's been informative. Like the quote says at the bottom, a journey of 1,000 miles. It all begins with a single step. I welcome your questions.
Thank you, Noha, for delivering such a remarkable, outstanding presentation for us.
Thank you very much. It's my absolute pleasure.
Beyond the excellent. And thank you
Thank
for
you.
sharing the importance of each type of insurance required in a landlord's career, as well as in any individual's life.
My absolute pleasure. My absolute pleasure.
So the platform is ready for the audience to ask questions to Ms. Noha, and he'll be very much glad to answer those kinds of questions to us.
Indeed.
So if anyone has questions, they can unmute themselves and they can ask Noha directly, or you can put it in the chat box, whichever is comfortable.
Come on, guys. I'm sure there's a couple of questions there.
Okay, Noha, while we are waiting for the people
This is what I always find, that when it comes to insurance, people are scared. They don't know where to go, where to turn, you know.
Okay, I've got one question. So can you please tell us what is not included in a content insurance?
What is not included in the content insurance? I mean, what is not included essentially is mechanical breakdown of, let's say, your washing machine or your dishwasher or fridge, because those things tend to be covered by the warranty of those appliances. So if you do take out our content insurance, even though it's got accidental damage included within it, it would only be things that are damaged via way of an accident. So just your fridge breaking down does not necessarily mean that the insurer would actually cover that, because it doesn't count as an accident or anything in relation to a flood, fire, or burglary. It was just, it's had mechanical breakdown. So it's either, you know, you can claim through the warranty aspect, or you may need some sort of a separate kind of insurance for those kind of devices. Or yeah, you might need a new one. Maybe so. Would you say?
Thank you, Noha.
You're welcome.
Does anyone have any questions to ask Noha?
I've got one if he doesn't mind.
I don't mind at all, Alfred. I was waiting for you. I think you're taking too long.
I know, good presentation.
Thank you so much.
So obviously the life insurance. So I kind of have life insurance. I always find that like obviously every property I buy, you're having to update it. So my thing is, I know for every single property you add, obviously the number is getting bigger and bigger and bigger in size, and obviously meaning your premium keeps going up and up and up and up.
Yes.
But something that I do honestly forget, not that I forget, but because it's not like mandatory you have to do it. It's a thing to do to kind of protect, like you said, in event something happens, it's all cleared off your property, and then whoever inherits the property in effect gets a mortgage-free property, which is amazing.
Correct.
It's worth paying long term for sure to have a debt-free portfolio, basically, which is amazing.
Correct.
My only thing is how important, like I guess, stressing the importance of kind of making phone calls to you guys to kind of making sure that every deal that I'm doing or buying, acquiring, that I'm getting the insurance put on for that new property that I'm buying.
I mean, the easy way around it, for example, I do have obviously a lot of clients that, you know, are, you know, multiple property owners, you know, and you're right, it can be a little bit sort of tedious every time you buy a property, go to add to the insurance. But it's similar to also doing your buildings insurance or your content insurance, because every time you do buy a property, you got to do that as well. So it in a way. So
I wanted to be able to say I deny that, but but the life insurance never comes in my head. I just think,
you know, so we got to cover all bases. That's what point I'm trying to make.
Yes.
But what some clients may do overall is, look, they have foresight. Look, they know their property portfolio is going to be $1 million or $1.5 million over time. So the way they look at it is like, Noah, write me a policy of £1 million for the next 30 years, because I want to lock in a good price now. And I know that my property portfolio in the next 3, 4, 5 years is going to be $1 million.
Okay.
So that way you've in advance cut down the price, or, you know, that potentially you would pay for getting up to $1 million over time. and also the workload of, or maybe forgetting, for example, to keep topping up, get £1 million worth of life insurance. It covers those amount of properties, for a particular period of time. So that's another way around it.
Noah, knowing Alfred, you need to write an insurance for at least 100 million.
Oh wow.
he's going on F1 speed.
No, that's good to know. Good to know.
That's interesting. I didn't know you can set a big figure and just cover out anything within that. That's a way to get it done.
And the younger you are, Alfred, the cheaper it is.
Yes, definitely.
And the healthier you are and the fitter you are, the better it is to do, So yeah, someone like yourself, like Jito was saying, is an aspiring investor doing great things. You're someone that's probably going to be on Forbes, we're going to see you on TV, that kind of stuff. Yeah, lock in something good now, that at least for the next 4 or 5 years, you don't have to worry about that. And even if it doesn't cover the full amount of your portfolio, at least you've taken care of a large part of that debt should the worst or unforeseen happen. And also look into the critical illness aspect of it as well, because we do tend to face a critical illness before the worst happening, which the stats will always show. People would either suffer cancer first, or a heart attack, or a stroke, or that kind of stuff happening that impacts maybe our life. And if you get £1 million paid out, or it just sort of helps cushion the blow, and it may just ease some of the things that you would have still had to do if you have such a large portfolio when you've got sort of tax-free cash sitting in your bank.
Yeah, I want to pick up a question on the critical, and I've actually cancelled. So I used to have critical illness when I was working.
Okay.
And when I actually lost my job, and I wanted to kind of claim, well, I kind of wanted to see what it was about, like what could I claim? And it was like, oh, you had to have been ill. I guess it wasn't critical illness, but it wasn't. Sorry, not critical illness. There was
income protection.
Income protection.
Yeah,
I had to have been out for a number of months before being able to. It wasn't like instant.
There's a deferred period. Yeah,
and then also as well in the grand scheme of things versus what I was going to get versus what I was earning was nowhere near. We kind of made it like, what's the point? It's like, I don't want to fill forms up to kind of get something that isn't going to even help me out.
Yeah, I mean, the income protection, which is part of the reason why I didn't mention it on the presentation, it's not something necessarily that I would advise for property owners, because the amount that you might get, the way it might work, may not really work out beneficial. Exactly. But definitely with the critical illness and the life insurance, that one I definitely would advise property owners to most definitely have. I mean, it's extremely important,
So one thing with the critical illness, because I've always thought, well, I'm building this income, I'm building this wealth to have to support myself, not necessarily rely on someone else kind of fixing my problems.
Yep.
In what case? So I know you're saying critical illness, but is that in the case? Is that got to be related to the property investment business itself? Like, what's defined that critical illness? Is it just me just saying I'm not well and therefore I want to get paid out for this surgery I need to go and do?
Essentially, the critical illness covers the individual. So it's, but the amount of cover can be in relation to how much, your properties are worth. So in the event that you were to be critically ill or diagnosed with a critical illness, the amount that's paid out, you can use it to clear off your property debt. You can use it to invest into more properties, whatever, you name it. It's just a financial tool, an insurance tool that has been used for many, many, many years to continue that sort of wealth generation within many, 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 many families. They've been using critical illness policies, life insurance for a very long time in relation to properties. They really have.
So do you need both or one?
I would say yes, but then it all comes down to affordability as well. Obviously, life insurance is extremely cheap these days, but critical illness is a lot more expensive. And I just see a question that's just popped up on my screen. What are the consequences if you don't have life? Just have a look at that, because I think it kind of correlates to what you're asking.
Yes,
Alfred. It says, what are the consequences if you don't have life insurance and if a person gets critically ill? Well, if you don't have life insurance and you passed away, then that's that, isn't it? You pass away and you know, the consequences are the family will have to deal with whatever, you know, they have to deal with, you know, which can be a very messy time. I'll be very honest with you, especially when there are a lot of properties. And what we find is with property owners, you know, and investors, similar to yourself, Alfred, is that we do the things that we feel we need to do for the property, but we don't do the things that we need to do for ourselves. Wills, very important. Trusts, very important. Life insurance, very important. We need to kind of safeguard ourselves and our legacies smartly, you know, because if you do get a critical illness, or if the worst happens and you die unexpectedly, what happens to this, you know, portfolio that you've built?
Yeah, I think I would vouch for definitely the life insurance. It's a no-brainer. If you've built a £10 million portfolio, which potentially has £7 million worth of debt against that, rather than them potentially only getting the 3 million, you're now getting paid a whole 10 million. Or the
There you
family
go.
getting paid the whole 10 million, and 10 million is 10 million debt-free, no mortgage, no nothing. I'm
Yeah.
paying someone.
Of course.
Which is rental income. So you've got the
Yeah.
in the property, rental income,
Yeah.
everything.
Yeah.
So,
And the thing is, I usually keep all my secrets usually to personal one-on-one consultations where people contact me. Usually, obviously, reveal all the secrets, but I'll give you guys all one gem, one secret, one tip to walk away with in relation to life insurance. Now, there is a policy called relevant life insurance. So if you have a limited company and you know you're running your property portfolio business through that limited company, HMRC will allow you to take out a relevant life insurance for whatever amount you want to take out for, I believe up to 20 million. And it's a tax deductible expense, meaning that when they do run your tax bill or the accountants go through the whole thing over the year, the relevant life amount, whether it's £300 a month, whatever it may be, is actually tax deductible. It's an expense. Essentially, you're not actually paying for that.
yeah, no, that's a good one.
But again, these things, I don't like saying them too openly in a forum. We don't know who's listening. So these are more one-on-one conversations that I have with my clients so they can understand genuinely how they can use insurance to safeguard their hard work.
Noha, I have a question.
Go for it.
If a person who's already diagnosed with one of the critical illness, okay, during and suppose if he plans to buy another life insurance plus a critical cover with another company or something like some sort of, will the company allow a second policy?
Not necessarily. I mean, if you just had a standard policy, you got diagnosed with a critical illness, chances are you probably won't be able to get any cover anymore from mainstream providers. That's just a fact. However, there are certain benefits that we can put in the policies that mean, should the person get diagnosed with a critical illness, we will be able to buy more life insurance for them without them having to go through the underwriting process again. There are some benefits that we can put in there, the additions that we can do that, where they can buy back more cover without having to go through underwriting again. But without those additions, chances are probably no, they won't be able to.
I have a question on the screen. Sachin is asking, property investment is liability and insurance cover is a way to limit the risk, but how much percentage of keep aside of profit?
How many what, sorry?
How much percentage of should we keep aside for a profit?
In relation to insurance?
Yeah, that's correct, actually. Yeah.
Yes.
Could you explain the question a little bit better, Shashi?
Yeah,
Just so I could
I
understand
think you explained it to Alfred, and I think I got the answer as a just because the key sliders in your presentation, I think those are the bare minimum essential insurance landlord need to taken for covering his risk liabilities. So I think
Yes.
so that percentage is nothing but what I was after. But I think, yeah, it covers in your presentation as well as when you explain to Alfred as well. Yeah.
Fantastic. Brilliant. Fantastic.
Thanks.
Yeah. So guys, is anybody who is still I think Alfred has one more.
Well, yeah,
Yes, Alfred.
I was thinking about it, but I was thinking essentially, obviously, it's a varying question. I was going to say,
Go for it.
generally speaking, a portfolio size of £5 million, for example, what would you be expecting someone to pay on a monthly basis? But I think you're based on your individual,
Based on the individual, based on your age,
circumstance,
based on your
all that.
circumstance, based on all that kind of stuff. Obviously, I work with kind of a large, panel of providers, so we're able to get you the best price, as it were, on the market, but most importantly, the best advice. And things like relevant life policies and things of that nature. If you're running them through the limited company, so the limited company is paying, those premiums, you essentially don't have to worry about how much you're paying, essentially, because that's a tax deductible expense. And when you're running a business, you want to be able to have as many tax deductible expenses as possible, because that's what enables you to enjoy the fruits of being a business owner. Because essentially, the more profit, I'm not an accountant, by the way, but the more profit you make, the more tax you pay.
Yeah, no, it definitely makes sense that you use that tax deductible method through the company. Why wouldn't you?
Yeah.
You're gonna have to pay it to HMRC instead. Why pay HMRC?
Exactly my
look
point.
after yourself.
If you can look after it, exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. So yeah, that's what it is.
Again, another question. I think you had answered during your presentation.
Yeah.
During the pandemic, did the rent guarantee become popular or not?
Okay, there was a lot of claims during that period for rent guarantee insurance. So what that meant is that the insurers stopped offering it. You couldn't have it anymore as an add-on. It is now back on the market. Some insurers are not offering it still, but there's one or two that I am working with who do. But during that period, there was claims going through the roof, because remember, people were made furlough, people were made redundant, people lost jobs, businesses went down, you name it. So many things happened, and property owners, landlords did feel it, and obviously claims went through the roof. So the insurers actually stopped offering it. But it's back on again, which is good.
Life should go on.
Life should go, indeed.
So, Noha, if anyone wants to contact you, what's the best way to contact?
I'm always available on my phone, as you know very well, Jito. So feel free to give me a ring. I'm sure Jito will share all of my contact details. You can pop me an email as well, but I tend to just work better on the phone. Let's have a conversation. Let's talk. Let's get to know each other, and let's do some business. If I can help, I can help. If I can't, hopefully I'll provide some value that will help you along the way some way. Yeah, let's connect. You can.
Hi, Noha.
Hiya.
My name is Ram. Yeah, just I got one question.
Yes, of course, Raham.
In between, I have missed some your presentation as well.
Okay.
I have a business. I own convenience store. So, do you do the building insurance for the commercial?
Yes, I do indeed. We
All right.
specialize in, because when you are a landlord, essentially, it is in a way considered a commercial insurance because it's done for business purposes. But if you're talking about specific commercial, like let's say shops, that kind of thing, yes, I do that as well.
All right. Okay. But yeah, as for the, I'm on a leasehold. I want to,
Okay.
for the landlord is normally he's doing his business, building insurance every year.
Yep.
But is it possible to do? I can do myself as well.
So you're the leaseholder.
I'm a leaseholder. Yes, he's doing business. The building insurance coming under his name.
Yeah.
But I am paying for it.
Okay.
But is whatever he's getting quote every year is a little bit expensive.
Yeah. So what you can say to him is that because you're paying for it, you want to go and source out the quotes yourself.
All right. Yeah. Okay.
And then if it has to be his name on there, it's not a problem. But because you are paying for it, you have a right to be able to, in a way, dictate what you're paying for. Because, like you said, you might be paying way more than you need to be for the same exact thing.
Yes.
So yes, of course, you're well within your rights to say, I want to source some other quotes since I'm paying for it to see what's out there on the market. Of course, I can help with that.
You can help me with that. And
Of
what
course.
about the shop insurance? You do shop insurance
We
as
do
well?
shops insurance as well. We do all that. Every
All right.
insurance would take care of except car insurance.
All right. Thank you. Then I'd like your contact number. Then
We leave
you're
that to the
going
call centers. Say again?
you're going to leave your contact details in a chat group,
Yes,
or
please. Jito, can you please
even
share
JD?
my
I can get
contact
it from
details?
JD as well. Yeah.
Yes,
Yes,
I will.
please. Yes, please
Yeah.
share my contact details with everyone, because I over know that people may have some questions and things that, so please make sure you share my details there. I'm available practically 24/7. I live in the office, so I'll be able to assist in any way possible.
But you'll be in office.
I am indeed.
You lucky guy. You don't need to pay rent or anything then.
Well, the amount of rent I pay for this office, you think I'm going mad, but it is what it is. You have to invest in life. If you don't invest, you ain't going to reap no rewards, so it is what it is.
Yeah. Thank you, Noha.
You're very welcome. Thank you.
Okay, guys, is there anyone else who would like to ask? If not, then I'd like to conclude that. Is there anyone else, guys? Okay, no, Noha, thank you so much for your expertise.
Thank you so much. Pleasure meeting all of you. Alfred, I loved your presentation as well. Jito, thanks for the opportunity. Thank you so much, guys. I'll look forward to speaking to you all soon.
Yeah, I will hand over over to Jito for the announcements and the vote of thanks.
Thank you, Noah. Thank you, everyone. What I'll do is I'll share my screen and run through just 2 slides. I know we are just almost coming to the end of the presentation. Yeah. So I was just mentioning about the series what we have launched. So we have also launched one series wherein we are sharing about the digital apps. So we got so many digital apps out there, and as property investors and property developers, we all have only 24 hours, and it's very important that we use this 24 hours very effectively and do the right things and invest your time doing the right things. So we got some smart tools out there, and what we are doing is whatever tools we are personally using, we are just sharing that with everyone. So check out in our YouTube channel, you will see all those videos. The other thing what we learned from our participants is like when they are going into property, they have a lot of kind of bad experiences in the past, or their neighbors had bad experiences, and they want to they want to learn from other people's experiences. So what we are doing is we are doing a series known as Pain Point, wherein people had some kind of experiences and they are personally sharing it. So we got a series on our YouTube channel. Check that out. You will hear different experiences, what people had and how did they overcome those experiences. Very important to do that. And finally, Trustpilot. We really like nowadays, everything is digital. People want to see their review. People want to know what is Project Possible, what has happened. So today we had Alfred and Noha, 2 experts sharing their journey, giving us knowledge, golden nuggets, top tips. It's very important that you share, you go on the Trustpilot and give us feedback about today's event. This evening, the 2 hours, what we have been together. So please share. Giving a 5-star will be the best option to do. And please put some nice words so that other people who will be reviewing Project Possible before attending these events, they can get a positive feedback and they know that this is going to be a valuable investment of their time. So that's this one particular slide. Now, who's going to be the next speaker? So next month, we got Jonathan with us. Now, Jonathan has been an accountant. He has been working in finance for last 10 years, over 10 years. And finally, he kind of packed up that career, went for a bit of a trip around the world. And then finally, just before the pandemic hit, the lockdown hit, he managed to come back to UK. And that's where he started getting involved into property. He already had 1 or 2 properties, but he started becoming more serious about the property. And he quickly realized that developing a team or your power team was not easy. A lot of people will trick you, will take advantage of you. And so what he did is he went out and he realized the gap in the market and he developed an application. Okay, so that happened in December 2020. So this December, it will be 1 year. And he's going to come and share the entire his property journey, as well as he will also show us this app, how property investors can make the max out of it. Okay, so he's the founder of trustmix.io. So that's Jonathan, who's going to be with us next month. We also will have an accountant who will be sharing about setting up the company, managing the finances, managing the tax side of it, and what's the smart vehicle for investment, and so many other things. So I'm not going to announce the name right now, but I'm just waiting for the confirmation. But we will have an accountant with us next month who will be sharing a lot of insight about the finance side of about the property. Okay, so it's very important that if you are raising capital from abroad, what are the things you need to be careful about? If you're raising capital within UK, what are the things? What are the expenditures? What things can be classified expenditure? There's a lot of things which an accountant can share with you guys. So that will be covered in the next month session. Now the next big question is, when is the next session? So the next session is on 15th of December 2021, which is a Wednesday before Christmas. So we will be ending the year on a high. As I said, the two experts who will be with us. So today we had Alfred and Noah. They have been really kind of valuable in what they have shared. We have learned a lot. So what we are going to do is next 4 weeks, we'll be kind of sharing their introductory video, an introduction video of 1 minute, wherein you will come to know the expert in advance. You can check that out, prepare your questions, make sure that you come with your questions. And next month, on 15th of December 2021, evening 7 p.m., we will be live again with our two experts. And make sure you share with your family and friends that this is the event, and share the link, help them to register for Project Possible. Now, I want to give you a massive thank you. I know people have joined from US, from Asia, from UK, Europe, and so many places. Yeah? And you guys have taken your 2 hours from your valuable time. You could have been doing something else, but you have real challenges in your life. You want to break through that 9-to-5 job, which Alfred was able to successfully do it. You want to learn more about property journey, and that is what you're doing. Yeah? Investing your time in the right place in the right time, so you can have quality time with your family, friends, with your loved ones, and focus on your health as well. So important. So thank you for all the participants who are with us this evening for the last 2 hours, and shown your trust, your confidence into Project Possible. And the experts, Alfred and Noah, once again, thank you, a massive thank you for for giving your valuable time and knowledge, experience, insight to our participants. So on that note, a massive thank you to our core team members who've been working throughout the 4 weeks. I know the social media team, the videos which we put together, so many work has been done, the script, and so much of logistics, the weekly catch-ups. So thank you, the core team, for putting all these things together. And on a final note, stay safe, stay blessed, and we will see you again soon. And before we end, any of our core team members, if you want to share, and then on that note, we will bring to an end of today's event. Robin, Suja, anything to share? You're on mute.
Nothing in particular. We've posted the link for the Trustpilot in the chat box, so it won't take much of your time. It would be helpful for us to get your valuable feedback, and so we can improve on what we are doing right now. So please do click on the link which is there in your chat box and give your valuable feedback.
And the Trustpilot is kind of visible to public. It's in public domain. So whatever you write, people will be judging Project Possible on that. You know that it has been just 3 months. We are taking baby steps. But all those speakers, what we had, been fabulous. They've been adding great value to you guys. So do appreciate giving a positive feedback on Trustpilot, because it will stay forever in the public domain. And the future people who will be coming on Project Possible will see that digital footprint, and they will make their choices based on that. So please make sure that you can give us a 5-star, and if you have any particular valuable feedback, how we can improve, get better, ping us a message, drop us an email, and we can definitely work on that to make it better. Yeah. So we'll give 1 or 2 minutes while we are on the call, and then we can conclude today's session. In fact, we are giving 10 minutes back. Now it's 7 to 9, but we got 10 more minutes. Yeah. Ram, Bijoy, and anything to mention while you're on the call?
No, particularly. It's very valuable information. I got it today, but I missed first half in our session. Hopefully, I'll go with you tomorrow, get the more information as well. Then, yeah, it's very good session actually. I learned a lot today. Thanks, Jito. And yeah, I won't miss for the next month one.
Thank you, Ram. Thank you.
Yeah.
In fact, we have this on YouTube live. So if you want to kind of listen to the recording, you can go to Project Possible YouTube channel, and you can see the today's live recording is there. So you can always catch up on what Alfred covered his journey. So it's there. Yeah.
Yeah.
Anyone else wants to say
Thank you.
anything? Yeah. Thanks, Ram. So I think we are pretty much done for this evening. Yeah. So once again, thank you guys. Have a blessed week and a good weekend. Thank you. Bye-bye. Bye.
Thank you, everyone. Good night.